Huda, a light in every home.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى لا سيما المصطفى صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of your program Ask Huda. Let me remind you quickly with our phone numbers. Area code 002-0238-555-248 or 249. And the email address is ask@huda.tv, as well as our Facebook account, which should appear on the screen. And I also get the questions on Facebook, and I try to reply to them whether in the program or on our Facebook account. Insha'Allah Azza Jal. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khairan kathiran. We have a few pending questions from the previous episode. Adam from Australia said he noticed that there are rows of people praying in Mecca and Medina, and they're not attached, they're not connected, simply because of the vast area, especially during times where they're not considered peak time, off-peak time. If it is not Ramadan or Hajj, some days the haram is not full. So by the time people come to attend the prayer, they walk for several hundred meters in order to enter inside the masjid and get as close as possible to the imam. The sunnah, as the Prophet ﷺ ordered, to line up like the angels do line up, to be organized. And number two, not to leave gaps within the same row or the same line. Furthermore, if somebody finds a gap or a spot in front of him, he should move forward in order to fill in. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man wasala saffan wasalahu Allah." If you see a saf or a row that is not connected and you fill in order to connect it, Allah will reward you for that and connect you to Him. As-salah is the most important ibadah. And one of my friends, who is now a da'iyah, I met him in North Carolina. He was a former Marine, U.S. Marine. When he entered the Islamic Center in North Carolina, he just entered for the purpose of seeing what do Muslims do in their headquarters. This is how he thought. And he was so scared, and his family were very worried as he was going there. And he observed a lot of things, beginning with warm welcomes. And whenever it was a prayer time and he heard the iqamah, everybody lined up automatically, and he said, "Trust me, what impressed me most, the way that they were so organized without a commander or an officer to line them up. They just lined up." And if this is amazing, that it really impressed them. And the second visit he came, he accepted Islam and his entire family. Then he resigned and he dedicated his life to learn Islam, and now he's an Islamic teacher, Islamic studies teacher. If this is amazing, what's really most amazing is the scene of the pilgrims and those who are performing Umrah, hundreds of thousands, whether in the prophetic masjid or in Al-Haram in Mecca. Once the muaddin calls the iqamah, they line up in less than a minute without having to have somebody to organize them or discipline them. This is the proper way of offering the prayer. So we have to line up and fill in the gaps, and do not leave several rows between us and those who are in front of us. We have to move forward until we fill in the row. Once some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ entered the masjid, And he thought he would miss the rak'ah because the Prophet ﷺ was in ruku'. So he bowed down and he kept walking towards the line. He did not pray all the way towards the rear of the masjid. He walked. The Prophet ﷺ knew about that, so he said, زادك الله حرصا ولا تعد. And in one narration, ولا تعد. May Allah reward you for your keenness and increase your keenness towards offering the prayer in jama'ah and attend from the beginning, but don't do that again. In another hadith which is collected by Imam al-Bukhari, when the Prophet ﷺ heard جَلَبَةَ رِجَالٍ, he heard some noise as he was praying. After the salah, he inquired about it and he said, Ya Rasulullah, we came late and we wanted to catch the prayer. He said, if you come to the prayer, if you come to the masjid, come while walking and do not rush, do not hurry. وَعَلَيْكُمُ السَّكِينَةِ, with tranquility. فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا وَمَا فَاتَكُمْ فَأَتِمُّوا. Not because you want to catch the prayer, you just pray anywhere or outside the masjid. It happens a lot in the haram. And this is really a great mistake. People leave the haram empty and they pray outside or close to their hotel entrance. They think this is valid. No, that is not valid. If we say you cannot pray in your hotel room behind the imam, then similarly, if there is a room and if there is a space, you have to fill in first. You cannot just leave several hundred meters because you think it is more convenient for you to pray outside the masjid or close to your hotel door. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have Sister Zahra from Malaysia.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ask Huda.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Alhamdulillah, brother. I have 3 questions, sir, and this
Please.
is Amana from 3 different ladies.
Just make sure they're easy ones, okay?
I cannot promise this.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Brother, the first question is, this friend of mine had loaned some money to her friend, who said that she will pay it back after a week. And the week passed, and the payment was not made. Now, they have met after this time has lapsed, and my friend who loaned the money is feeling that her trust had been compromised. So she said, how do I deal with this in the deen? She wants to do it right. Number 1. Number 2, sir. There is a lady on the way to Umrah, and she got sick at the airport transit in Dubai and hospitalized in Dubai. She is like, sometimes she is conscious. She's like conscious of herself. Some conscious meaning normal. She's not mad. You know what I mean? But sometimes she's not. She tried to pull all the IV out of herself. She screamed. She tried to run out of the ward. Now, the other Malaysians who visited her are worried that they ask her to pray, but they feel like she's possessed sometimes and sometimes not. Could it be jinn? Could it be not? They're not sure. The question, sir, must she pray? This is the question.
Let me just ask you a specific question. Now you're talking about a physical ailment. She's hospitalized, she got sick physically, right?
Yes.
Did you also mention that she might be possessed? What does this have to do with being sick or in the hospital and offering the prayer? And how did you guys figure out that she's possessed or maybe possessed?
Because of the ruqyah, when the ruqyah was said to her, reaction that they got from her. That was one of the main reasons why they suspect it is.
And a person who is professional in this regard who determined that she's possessed?
No, sir. This is just one of the ustada, one of the lady scholars in Dubai.
Okay.
So that's question number 2. Question number 3 is regarding schooling, Islamic school for the children, also from a sister in Dubai, alhamdulillah. The only school that has good Islamic and Arabic teaching are basically majority Arabs, and she's a non-Arab. She's a foreigner in Dubai, and she wants to send her kids to a good Islamic school. But because it's majority Arabs and big names, if you know what I mean, there are a lot of disciplinary issues and a lot of, I think you know what I mean, sir. So she's trying to find a compromise here. If you can answer, please, sir. Jazakallah khairan. Salam to you, brother.
Wa jazakum. Thank you so much. Brother Ali from Nigeria, Assalamu alaikum.
Good evening.
Good evening to you, Ali. How are you?
Yes, Alhamdulillah, fine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for what you are doing.
Ameen.
And the
Ameen. Thank you so
May
much,
He
Sheikh.
assemble us all in the under the shade of Al-Arsh on the day of judgment.
Ameen.
Sheikh, I have two questions. I have been wanting to ask these questions since last week.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is my account at the bank has accrued some interest. So to dispose of it, can I give it to some of my relatives that I know required some money, maybe, or should I give it to people that do not know me, or how do I dispose of it? That's my first question.
Are they really poor?
Second question is,
Your relatives, are they really poor and in need for that money?
yes, actually, definitely. Some of them are in need of it.
Okay.
So the second question is it permissible for a person to name his son Muhsin?
Muhsin?
Muhsin, because somebody told me Muhsin, Muhsin.
Muhsin?
Somebody told me yes, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I don't know if it's correct.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Ali. Thank you so much. Rufa from Indonesia. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We got Malaysia and Indonesia. MashaAllah.
Yes, Sheikh, I have a question that it is for my younger brother. At the moment, he is facing a very big problem that he's the only child. He is a son. He's being raped by some group of homosexuals, and he was also threatened going to kill him. So now his son is becoming amnesia. It just happened a week ago, and it is happened in Bali Island.
His son has become what?
He's become forget everything. His son cannot remember even his name.
How old is his son?
15 years old.
16 years old.
15.
15, okay.
Yes. So, is there anything, some recitation or dua for my younger brother? Because now, because of the condition of his son, he cannot communicate, and but we found some proof on his body, and my younger brother tried to convince his son, because now the doctor is taking care of his son, but because of there is some threat that saying that they will kill his son, because his son keep on saying unconsciously that it is a trap, like this. So
Okay.
we don't know. We are just asking Allah to help us, but is there...
May Allah guide him and may Allah give him shifa. We'll see inshallah what we can do with that. Barakallah fikum. Thank you, Rufa from Indonesia. Salma from Nigeria.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Salma.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. The last time I called, I asked about the issue of someone who committed shirk. So ever since you give an answer, I'm seriously worried, because the reason why I asked that question is
About somebody who commits shirk?
Who are very... Hello?
You said about somebody who commits shirk?
Yes. So he's asked me about parents. So they used to associate with...
I can't hear you. You're breaking off.
Telling.
Sister Salma, you're breaking off. And I do remember a few episodes back answering this question. It was towards the end of the program. But
Okay.
I would be more than happy if you can repeat the question in a clearer way, because I cannot understand you right now.
You said?
Yeah, I can. You're breaking off.
Okay. Hello?
So why don't you leave your question with the brothers in the control, please? And the brothers, can you collect the question and send it to me, inshallah? I'll be more than happy to answer in the next segment, inshallah. Atif from United Arab Emirates, and we will pause after this call, inshallah. Naam, Atif.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking, Akhi.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I have a question.
No.
In my office, in my computer, I downloaded all the Quran. So whenever I have time, I'm reading. What is my question is, in the Quran, total 14 sajdas is there. So whenever sajda is coming, I cannot do sajda in the office because it's not clean. So what is my question is, I can, after coming home...
Can you tell me one thing? How do you know that the office is not clean? Are you talking about the regular cleanness or the tahara?
Cleanness is there, but there is no, means everybody is coming, going with shoes. That is why I'm saying. So,
even if people are walking with the shoes in the streets, the street may be dirty because it's dusty, it has mud or whatever. But dirty in that sense does not mean that it is not pure. Purification is different. What's required as a prerequisite for the validity of the salah pertaining tahara, the purity of the mahal, the spot. It does not mean that it's swept and it is clean in a sense that it is mopped and swept. No, it means it does not have any impurities such as urine, soil.
Not like that. That is not anything.
Naam?
So that is not like that. But I can do sajda in after coming home. I can do sajda in home.
I'm trying to help you out by saying, if it is clean as far as pure, then do the sajda there. Okay? Because you can pray there. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَجُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. One thing. Second, if you're working, it's hard to imagine somebody who's working, unless if your job is some sort of physical exercise, that you do your job physically, not mentally. If you're working on your desk, how would you be listening to the Quran and working meanwhile? So what I'm trying to do is, or say is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Listening to the recitation of the Quran is a great ibadah. It is as important as reading as well. But you have to be listening, not to play it in the background. So that's why if you're listening in your leisure time, or if your work is some kind of a physical work, like a mechanic, or a construction engineer or whatever, and he's listening to the Quran, it won't affect his work. But the type of work which requires attention and mental attention, you cannot be listening to the Quran meanwhile or playing the Quran as your background. And once you recite the sajda, you can make sujood. If you're not capable for any reason, and if you don't have tahara, you don't have a place to make sujood, you can postpone it until you have a chance, then you can make it up. Barakallahu feeka Atif. Jazakallahu khair. I requested the brothers and sisters to hold and pause the phone calls for now because we have many questions. Zachary from Libya last time inquired about if I can recommend good schools in the KSA, and also Sister Zahra from Malaysia today inquired about schooling in Dubai, where the big shots send their kids, but it's an Arabic school, etc. To me, the story is entirely different. I do look at it this way. If I have an access to send my kids to the best American schools, but they will not be in the good company, they will not be raised properly, their colleagues will be bragging about their Jaguar, about their different types of cars and mobile phones and expensive pens. This pen is like $1,000 or whatever. I'm not going to put my kid in this school, even if I can afford it. Even if I can afford it. And I would like, if I have time, to explain how Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, whose title is the fifth rightly guided caliph, who was a descendant of the great Khulafa, how he was treated when he was a child. And this is what led him to be a righteous Khalifa. If we would like our children to be righteous people in the future and to be leaders of this ummah, it is not about the international school. Look for a school which would teach, along with the science and math and English or language and whatever, most importantly the deen and the akhlaq and the manners. It is so sad that we spend tens of thousands to send our kids abroad or to invite private tutors to teach either piano classes or whatever. Any of this nonsense. And very few people think of hiring a sheikh, not just a hafiz to make my son know how to read the Quran so that we have an Ameen party and Bismillah party and celebrate all of that. No, all of that is not sufficient. Can you hire an educator, a person who would raise your children and teach them the deen, not only in the books, how to behave, how to act, how to walk in the street, how to deal with others, how to deal with other elders, with people who are younger than you, with your colleagues, the Islamic etiquette in every fashion. Al-Umara, the princes and the Khulafa used to do that, would hire people to educate their children. This is what we need. So if there is an Islamic school, but it is not very famous, and it is not, you don't have to pay $20,000 a year, humble school, that's perfectly fine. I would love to send my kids in it. I told you, I met many people who were born and raised in Saudi Arabia. Their parents were living and working there. Somebody who's 24, 28 years old, and they do not know an Arabic word. They lived their entire life in Arabic countries. They don't know any Quran, they do not know an Arabic word. So I asked, how come? He said, because I have been always in English schools. Have been always in English schools. This is wrong. And similarly, sending my kids because I can afford it to the school where they have big shots and so on, that too is wrong. If my goal is to go to Al-Jannah and save my children and go to Al-Jannah, then I should choose the place and the environment which would teach my children how to be good Muslims, moderate people, not brag about their positions versus others. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what's best. So I cannot name a school. You look for a school that fits this criterion, because this is where you will be saved and your children will be saved. Some people make wudu by wiping over the socks. This is Ayyub from Kuwait last time asked. Yes, wiping over the socks is valid if you have wudu before you put them on. And the socks should cover the ankles. Today I was praying Maghrib and I saw somebody wearing those low-cut socks. They barely cover the feet. It's a fashion. So you cannot wipe over those socks because they do not cover the ankles. Similarly, shoes. You cannot only wipe on the shoes which do not cover the ankles, the two bones on the side of the leg. Excuse me. So the Prophet ﷺ in several ahadith, one is narrated by Ali ibn Abi Talib and one is narrated by Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah and others, that the Prophet ﷺ would wipe over his socks if he had wudu before putting them on. And that would be valid for a day and night for a person who is resident. And if the one is traveling, then he's given the concession to wipe over his socks, don't have to take them off for 3 days and 3 nights, 72 hours. So this is a fact that Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah believe in. And this is one of the things which distinguish and make distinction between Sunni and Shias. Because Ahlul Sunnah follow the Prophet ﷺ in this regard. And that's why the chapter of wiping over the socks will be mentioned sometimes under the chapters of belief or aqidah. Is it okay for my wife to use shampoo and wave-on? Yes, it is okay, and it is recommended too. Why do you think that women cannot wear makeup and perfumes? They can wear the best makeup, lipstick, eyeliners, everything at home for their husbands. But if they are ready to leave their homes, should remove any of that. Make sure that they're tafilat, they're very ordinary. Should not expose any of their fitna or their beauty to anyone other than their husbands or their maharim. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ, except, should not show or expose their zina, their beauty or adornment to other than, of course, the husband and or the maharim. So at home, you wear whatever you want to wear. But of course, for the nail polish, if the woman is not in her menses, which means if she prays and she's required to make wudu, she cannot wear nail polish, because the nail polish leaves a layer that prevents the water from coming in contact with the nails, and that nullifies the wudu. I see some sisters go for Hajj and Umrah with the nail polish. Then in this case the wudu is invalid, and anything that is based on it is invalid. Tawaf, Salah, you name it, because the wudu was not there in the first place. Muhammad from Australia said, is it permissible to divorce? He said, your wife. I would say somebody's wife. Is it permissible to divorce somebody's wife if she is pregnant? And this is the proper way to phrase the questions. Yes, it is permissible, and the divorce will be effective. And it will be effective. It is a bid'ah, an innovation, to divorce one's wife if she is in the menses, or after the menses is over and he had contacted her sexually. These times are not allowed for a person to divorce his wife. Rather, he should divorce her if divorce is the last resort. في طهر لم يجامعها فيه, in a purification where he did not touch her, meaning did not have a complete sexual relation with her. How can a single man fight his physical or sexual desires? The Prophet ﷺ said, من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. Marriage. And sometimes youthful men do have this extra desire, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. It is permitted. But if one cannot afford it financially, then in this case the Prophet ﷺ prescribed fasting. فَالصَّوْمُ لَهُ وَجَاء. Fasting will be a shield or a protection in this regard. It will weaken the desire to the utmost. So as-sawm is an alternative. Increase in making dhikr, and do not stay alone by yourself for a long time. Hang around with people all the time. And by the way, exercise and physical sports which will make the person worn himself out in a physical effort would divert his attention from things like that. Lowering the gaze, obviously, staying away from the bad company, because this is like similar to fire and gas. Then you kindle a fire. So stay away from the sources of fitan, and strengthen yourself by siyam, fasting, making adhkar and dua, and exercise, the physical exercise. Let's take a short break, and inshallah once we come back we'll start taking phone calls. We'll finish the pending questions along with some of today's question, and we will get more questions to be answered inshallah azza jal after the break, so stay tuned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
The Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, narrated that when Allah, glory be to him, wishes good for someone, he bestows upon him understanding of the religion, and that Allah makes the path to paradise easy for those who seek knowledge. Preoccupied by work or family in the modern world, a Muslim may struggle to find time for acquiring Islamic knowledge. To ease this struggle, we are launching Huda Academy to be your gateway to online Islamic e-learning.
Enroll now and study from our renowned scholars. Learn Aqidah from Dr. Muhammad Salah.
Learn Fiqh from Dr. Hatim Al-Hajj.
Learn Hadith from Dr. Muhammad Saeed.
Learn Tafsir from Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan.
And learn Arabic from our professional instructors.
Successful graduates of Huda Academy will go through a final test and eventually receive a certificate of completion.
To enroll and learn more about Huda Academy, please visit us online at hudaonlineacademy.com.
Huda Academy, your gateway to authentic Islamic knowledge.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ask Huda. Sister Zahra from Malaysia, her first question was pertaining a woman who gave a loan to her friend who promised that she will pay back in 1 week period of time. Then she fails to meet her promise. So she feels shy to remind her with the payment. There are several things relating to this subject. Number one, pertaining feeling shy to ask, and whether this is good or bad, praiseworthy or dispraised. Once the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard one of his companions was advising another person concerning a loan that he gave to somebody and he was shy to ask for it. It was past due. He was telling him that you should not feel shy. Just talk to him. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed them by saying, دعه فإن الحياء من الإيمان. Leave him alone. Shyness is one of the branches of Iman. So the sister who feels shy to ask for the money, this is a sign of Iman. This is not a dispraised attitude. No. In our worldly life, which has become very materialistic, people would normally think the opposite. No, I did you a favor. You have to fulfill your promise. You have to meet what you conditioned. You have to give the money back. I want to also mention that when you give somebody a loan, the reward for giving him a loan is greater or double the reward of giving him the same amount in a charity. How come? Because when you give in a charity, this is an extra amount that you don't want it. Whether it is zakah or voluntary charity, so you're not expecting the money to come back. But when you give somebody a loan, you're taking the risk that your money may not come back. You give him in order to give him a relief, to give him an ease out of the hardship, the financial adversity that he's experiencing. So perhaps you yourself need the money. You're doing this in order to remove the calamity or the burden of somebody else. And the Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, من فرج عن أخيه كربة من كرب الدنيا فرج الله عنه كربة من كرب الآخرة or يوم القيامة. Whoever delivers his brother out of a hardship or adversity in this dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pay him back by delivering him out of hardship of al-akhirah, of the hereafter. Imagine. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that on the day of judgment, telling us about a scene of what will happen on the day of judgment. They will bring somebody, they ask him, do you have any good deed? No, I do not remember doing any good deed. Except one thing, that if I gave somebody a loan and he was not able to pay back on time, I would give him a respite. انظروا, I will make it easy for him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself will speak out saying that we are more worthy than you to do so. Take him to Al-Jannah. Giving ease and making things easy for others is one of the greatest virtuous acts. The Prophet ﷺ said in one hadith, لأن أمشي في حاجة أخي حتى أقضيها له خير من أن أعتكف في مسجدي هذا شهرا. Compare the word of number one, I will actually mention number two first. The word of making i'tikaf in the prophetic masjid for a whole month. Imagine each salah is worded 1,000 times more than praying anywhere else except in al-Masjid al-Haram. Fine. So i'tikaf for a whole month in the prophetic masjid has a great reward. Helping somebody who's in need until his need is fulfilled has a greater reward than making i'tikaf, than the reward of making i'tikaf in the prophetic masjid for a whole month. More and more ahadith collected by Imam Muslim and others in this regard. But keep in mind that if we were so amazed that Sa'd ibn al-Rabi', the Ansari, who offered Abdul Rahman ibn Auf of the Muhajirin, he offered him 50% of his wealth, one of his houses, and he said, I can even divorce one of my wives if you're interested. He offered him 50% of what he has. If this is really amazing, what's more amazing is the reply of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, who was very decent, and said, Barakallahu laka fi malika wa fi baytika wa fi ahlik. May Allah bless you in your house, in your wealth, in your family. Rather, show me where is the market. That's called dignity. Some people think that these guys have a lot of money. Oh, he's working in an international company. He must be making tons of money. So if I ask him for a few thousands, it won't hurt him. So he's taking the money with the intention that he's not paying back. For him, I would like to tell him the following. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, من أخذ أموال الناس يريد آداءها أدى الله عنه ومن أخذها يريد إتلافها أتلفه الله. One who borrows money from people because he's in need, he's desperately in need, and he intends to pay back, Allah will help him out to settle his debt and pay back on his behalf if he can. But one who took the money because he thinks they have a lot and he's not planning to pay back, then أتلفه الله. Allah will destroy him and destroy his wealth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Muhammad from Qatar.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Okay. I have a question. Can a jinn or shaitan able to damage a believer's body? For example, is it possible to make any damage like heart, kidney or cancer?
Okay. Barakallahu fi. Jazakallahu khair. Nawshab from Oman. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, shukra. Can you tell me the meaning of Nawshab?
It's not B, it is D. D for dates. Naushad.
Naushad. Okay.
Yes, yes.
What does it mean?
A couple of days before.
What does it mean?
I think it is happy.
Happy?
The closest meaning to Arabic is Nushat. So this is popular in India. This name is
so
popular.
This is an Indian name though?
Yeah, I'm from India basically.
Naushad.
Yes, yes.
So brother Happy, what's your question?
Okay, so I have one question. I'm working as a teacher, and
your students must be very happy with you too.
Inshallah, I'm expecting for that.
Inshallah.
So, Sheikh, the hijab for men is like lowering the gaze, if I'm not wrong. And in my class, there are many ladies most of the time, and my concern now is if I lower my gaze, then it must be like I have to take the class either by looking into the ground or by looking into the ceiling. And if I do so, I'm afraid like the student may not have the attention towards the class.
Oh, you're talking about your students?
Yeah, students, yes.
How old are your students, or what class are you teaching?
I'm like, I think there are around 22, 23 years.
Wow. Oh, you've been tested, boy. MashaAllah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I want to be in the hijab for men. What is prescribed?
I wouldn't use the word hijab for men because men should cover their awrah. It's not called hijab, it's the body part which should be covered. But for women, hijab is, as you know, to cover the entire body according to one view, or the entire body except for the hands and the face in another view. Yes, you've been tested, and it is hard to be in a class like that. But I'm not going to tell you to quit working. If you find a school where you'll be only teaching boys, that's much safer. Alhamdulillah, shukrullah. Otherwise, if you're stuck in this place and this is what you have for the time being, yes, you have to keep looking only towards the boys, or lower your gaze so that you would not be looking at girls, because they are grown-up girls. You're talking about college students. This is why when we say that Islam does not allow free mingling, some people think this is very extreme and this is radical and so on. No, this is one of the steps of maintaining modesty of the entire society, because النظر بريد الزنا. When one keeps looking at beautiful girls right and left, what do you expect next? He's got to think about it. And if one of these girls are not really properly brought up, and she speaks softly to the teacher or send them a message or a love message or whatever, one thing leads to another. And we have seen this all the time, whether in America or any of the Muslim countries, because this is a human instinct. So for the time being, I advise you to lower your gaze, or sit the boys on one side or the girls on one side, or the boys in the front and the girls in the rear. And this is how. I want to tell you another thing. I really can be looking at you or facing you but not seeing you, not looking at you. This is a matter of personal conscience. So when you have this conscience of Allah's presence and He is watching you and He order you to lower your gaze and so on, that will help you, inshaAllah Azza Jal, to lower your gaze. May Allah help you in this regard. Thank you, Brother Nushid. Assalamu alaikum. Abdullah from Algeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Inshallah, Sheikh, I want to ask two questions.
Please.
Yeah, my first question is, sometimes I'm making some sujood.
No.
Shukurullah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it possible or not? And the second question is, my Salat al-Shafr al-Witri, I'm leaving it to the last of the night, because I'm always working the night, last of the night, to make some nafla. After nafla, I make Salat al-Witri.
Masna. Now, what about Salat al-Shaf'i wal-Witr?
Yeah, I'm leaving it to the last of the night. After the nafla prayers in the night, then I make it.
So what is the question then?
Yeah, because on Monday I hear you that you are talking that you're supposed to make the Shaf'i al-Witr before going to sleep.
You heard that where exactly?
Monday.
One day?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not said at all. Rather, Salatul Shaf'i wal Witr is prescribed to be the last prayer of the night. You can postpone it until before Fajr, if you're planning to get up and pray, and if you're capable to do so. But for those who can barely pray Isha and pray at night, then go to sleep because they have to get up early morning, and that is their routine, it is advised for them to pray Shafa and Witr before they go to sleep, lest they may skip it. Okay? As far as sujood al-shukr, it is prescribed to make one sajda of shukr or gratitude when you hear the good news or Allah words of something evil that was about to befall you. And the Prophet ﷺ have prescribed that. He made sujood al-shukr as he entered Mecca while he was on the back of his camel, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the person may fall in sujood upon knowing good news or have received something that pleases his heart, or to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protecting him from any harm. Muhammad from Qatar about a shaitan. Can the shaitan possess a human being? Also with the second question of Sister Zahra from Malaysia, that the sister was traveling for Umrah, then she was retained in a hospital, she's sick, and some sisters recited ruqya upon her and they predicted that she's been possessed. Possession happens. And it happens due to many, many reasons. It happens. Could be simply due to sorcery, magic. Somebody casts magical spell on the person. Or the shaitan possessed, any of the jinn possessed the person. If the person entered the restroom without saying the invocation, seeking protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against the male and the female jinn, أعوذ بك من الخبث والخبائث, it may happen. Many reasons. Inshallah, that will be discussed in details in Aqidah. In the second phase, when we come to speak about the jinn and exorcism, and is it possible to exorcise or drive out the jinn or satans from the body of the possessed human being, and the proper ways of exorcism as prescribed by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But yes, it is possible. If the sister who recited ruqya is professional and she knows the signs or the symptoms, such as the woman is speaking in a different vocal tone, or somebody is speaking on her tongue, or whenever the Quran is recited, she's aching and she cannot bear it, and so on, then in this case, yes, she is possessed. Can the shaitan cause cancer or kidney failure or liver cirrhosis or whatever? These physiological ailments and physical diseases, we should not right away think, oh, this is a shaitan, this is a mess, this is... People right away, they resort to this option. Go to the doctors, to the specialist, run all the tests, or the lab, require lab steps and everything. And when they say you're perfectly fine, then along with the ruqya, we figure out whether the person is being possessed or under a magical spell or not. But we should not right away think of, that must be the jinn. That's not necessarily true. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَلَنَبِلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Life is all about that. Some days are good, some days are not so good. Today somebody is happy. In the evening he may lose a beloved person. He's very healthy and he was the world champion in whatever. Then all of a sudden he loses a limb, he becomes a handicap. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Allah, for whatever you give me, and thank you for whatever you take from me. Patience. It doesn't mean that you settle and you do not do anything, or do not seek remedy, do not go to the doctors, or ask somebody to see if you're been afflicted by a magical spell. Utilize all the possible legal means. Go to the doctors, to the specialists, run all the tests. And meanwhile, the ruqya is very effective, whether in physiological cases or mental cases. It's not only related to the mental cases. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would give ruqya for any person who's sick. And Umar ibn Khattab used to recite Surah Al-Fatiha as means of ruqya. And as you know, the incident of the leader of his clan who got bitten by a scorpion, and some of the Sahaba gave him ruqya by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, and he was cured. طيب. Ali from Nigeria, the interest that he collected from the bank, if there is no other bank, if there is no Islamic banks, and you have to save your money in this bank because otherwise it's not legitimate. So you collect the interest and you give it to the poor, whether he's a relative or an orphanage or a school or a hospital, no problem. The name Muhsin, can somebody be given the name Muhsin? Yes. فمنهم محسن ومنهم ظالم لنفسه فمنهم مقتصد ومنهم ظالم لنفسه. The word Muhsin has been mentioned as the person who is a good doer or a righteous doer. So it won't hurt to call a person Muhsin, because you're not giving him one of the traits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Muhsin means a person who is a good doer. It's okay. As far as Roma and her nephew who's been raped by a group of homosexuals and he lost memory or whatever, it could be a psychological shock. We all pray for his quick healing. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيه اللهم رب الناس أذهب بأسه واشفيه أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك. And I urge all the viewers to pray for him. Inshallah Azza Jal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish those perpetrators and bring them to justice. Allah Ameen. Brothers and sisters, do not forget to pray for your brothers and sisters in Syria who are constantly under the attack of these barbaric Alawis and Nusayris. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them victory, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish their enemies and take them out. Allahumma ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
And I try to reply to them whether in the program or on our Facebook account. Insha'Allah Azza Jal. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khairan kathiran. We have a few pending questions from the previous episode. Adam from Australia said he noticed that there are rows of people praying in Mecca and Medina, and they're not attached, they're not connected, simply because of the vast area, especially during times where they're not considered peak time, off-peak time. If it is not Ramadan or Hajj, some days the haram is not full. So by the time people come to attend the prayer, they walk for several hundred meters in order to enter inside the masjid and get as close as possible to the imam. The sunnah, as the Prophet ﷺ ordered, to line up like the angels do line up, to be organized. And number two, not to leave gaps within the same row or the same line. Furthermore, if somebody finds a gap or a spot in front of him, he should move forward in order to fill in. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man wasala saffan wasalahu Allah." If you see a saf or a row that is not connected and you fill in order to connect it, Allah will reward you for that, and to have somebody to organize them or discipline them. This is the proper way of offering the prayer. So we have to line up and fill in the gaps, and do not leave several rows between us and those who are in front of us. We have to move forward until we fill in the row. Once some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ entered the masjid, and he thought he would miss the rak'ah because the Prophet ﷺ was in ruku'. So he bowed down and he kept walking towards the line. He did not pray all the way towards the rear of the masjid. He walked. The Prophet ﷺ knew about that, so he said, زادك الله حرصا ولا تعد. And in one narration, ولا تعد. May Allah reward you for your keenness and increase your keenness towards offering the prayer in jama'ah and attend from the beginning, but don't do that again. In another hadith which is collected by Imam al-Bukhari, when the Prophet ﷺ heard جَلَبَةَ رِجَالٍ, he heard some noise as he was praying. After the salah, he inquired about it, and they said, Ya Rasulullah, we came late and we wanted to catch the prayer. He said, if you come to the prayer, if you come to the masjid, come while walking and do not rush, do not hurry. وَعَلَيْكُمُ السَّكِينَةِ, with tranquility. فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا وَمَا فَاتَكُمْ
Huda, a light in every home.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. من همزه ونفخه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى لا سيما المصطفى صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of your program Ask Huda. Let me remind you quickly with our phone numbers. Area code 002-0238-555-248 or 249. And the email address is ask@huda.tv, as well as our Facebook account, which should appear on the screen. And I also get the questions on Facebook. Atimmu. Not because you want to catch the prayer, you just pray anywhere or outside the masjid. It happens a lot in the haram. And this is really a great mistake. People leave the haram empty and they pray outside or close to their hotel entrance. They think this is valid. No, that is not valid. If we say you cannot pray in your hotel room behind the imam, then similarly, if there is a room and if there is a space, you have to fill in first. You cannot just leave several hundred meters because you think it is more convenient for you to pray outside the masjid or close to your hotel door. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have Sister Zahra from Malaysia.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ask Huda.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Alhamdulillah, brother. I have 3 questions, sir, and this
Please.
is Amana from 3 different ladies.
Just make sure they're easy ones, okay?
I cannot promise this.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Brother, the first question is, this friend of mine had loaned some money to a friend, her friend, who said that she will pay it back after a week. And the week passed, and the payment was not made. Now, they have met after this time has lapsed, and my friend who loaned the money is
and connect you to him. As-salah is the most important ibadah. And one of my friends, who is now a da'iyah, I met him in North Carolina. He was a former Marine, U.S. Marine. When he entered the Islamic Center in North Carolina, he just entered for the purpose of seeing what do Muslims do in their headquarters. This is how he thought. And he was so scared, and his family were very worried as he was going there. And he observed a lot of things, beginning with warm welcomes. And whenever it was a prayer time and he heard the iqamah, everybody lined up automatically, and he said, trust me, what impressed me most, the way that they were so organized without a commander or an officer to line them up. They just lined up. And if this is amazing, that it really impressed them, and the second visit he came, he accepted Islam and his entire family, then he resigned and he dedicated his life to learn Islam, and now he's an Islamic teacher, Islamic studies teacher. If this is amazing, what's really most amazing is the scene of the pilgrims and those who are performing Umrah, hundreds of thousands, whether in the prophetic masjid or in Al-Haram in Mecca. Once the muaddin calls the iqamah, they line up in less than a minute without having